Welcome to Driving Impressions with Fraser Norton. Today I have the Jaguar SVR 550, which is the sort of car that Jaguar really needs to keep making. It's got a petrol engine, it's got 560 brake horsepower, and it's got 700 Newton meters of torque, and it is blissful. Also, it makes a really good noise. But having a look at the car, you can see that it's in an absolutely spectacular colour. This is a special offer colour, and it's not available unless you make that special order, and it's called Sorrento Yellow. The whole car is Sorrento Yellow, and the SVR kit gives some black trims here and here, some black trims along the bottom, the black wheels, the black vents, and the black vents here. The real business is under here and inside. So let's have a look inside. It's absolutely gorgeous in here. The impression you get is certainly of refined luxury, but a sort of kind of like the leaping Jaguar, a little bit threatening almost. We've got nice matte finished surfaces on top of the dashboard. There are the sparkles of this polished aluminium. You can imagine, if you like, the Jaguar sitting, hiding, waiting for its prey, and only its eyes twinkling. We've got a very big eye here in the 11.4-inch Pivi Pro screen, and there's lots of things going on here. There's navigation, we can adjust the temperature of the seats, the climate, loads of cameras, CarPlay, and then low traction launch and various dynamics that we can work with here. Up at the business end, where everything happens in front of you, there's a really nice steering wheel, good shape, good feel, good grip, paddle shifters, and a very clear panel of electronic instrumentation with all the information that you need. You can reprogram that to bring map information up. You've got economy, and you've got tank capacity, and you've got the amount of time that you've spent in the car and since the last refill, and all of the rest of that sort of stuff. It's a long distance car, it's a cruiser. It's quick, but it's so quick that you could probably never use its true speed. It will do 250 odd kilometers per hour. And I don't see the opportunity to ever use that except on a racetrack. The impression that it gives is that there is capacity here. There is capacity to spare. So whatever situation you find yourself in, there's going to be enough power to get you through it or out of it. Going back to the cameras, the 3D sound camera is absolutely wonderful. You can see everything. It's all a mash of images from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 cameras around the car, mashing this picture together, that gives you the opportunity to see all the way around the whole thing. You know exactly what's going on all the time. One of the options fitted to this SVR, which is the sliding panoramic sunroof with just power gesturing. So that all sounds very technical. Basically, if I wave my hand across, I can stop and start the sunroof. And when it gets to its final passage, I can stop it and I can ask it to come back. I just worry about reaching for the mirror or trying to point to somebody or give directions and then the roof going off by itself. But that's price to pay, I guess. There's no real off-road capability in the car. It has an active dynamics package, and what that does is, depending on the transmission mode that you choose, and there's an economy mode, there is a comfort mode, and there is a dynamic mode, and there's one for rain, snow, bad weather. In this part of the world, maybe a slippery surface with sand or blowing dust. That would be the one that would look at changing the way in which the car reacted and using the system to get all of this torque to the places that it needs to be, rather than oversteering or getting yourself into some trouble. It gets very hot, but as you can see, there isn't actually much to see.
And the reason for that is that you're not really expected to touch anything under the bonnet of a modern car. There's a fair amount of heat being generated by this V8. And as you'd see, there's so little to actually interfere with. There are vents in the bonnet to help air in, and there are vents in the side to help air out. And actually, standing here isn't very comfortable. So I'm going to close it down. Part of the SVR pack are the wheels, 22-inch, forged diamond-turned gloss black contrast, and in this case the car is fitted with the optional grey inserts. And you can see the red calipers there through those lovely SVR wheels. It's a fairly cavernous boot in the SVR, as you can see. I put a small toolbox in here just for sort of scale. It's big, there's plenty of room for suitcases and long distance travel. I think you might be hard pressed on golf clubs though. You're not buying a 550 horsepower car to be worried about economy. So 550, 600 kilometres is your realistic distance on a tank. That's going to cost you dirham for every 2.5 kilometres. Horse the car? It's going to cost you a lot more. The quietness of the car in its standard mode is really quite encouraging. And to be honest, if you drive sensibly, if you drive without the lead-lined right foot, the car's not that thirsty, despite the fact it's a big V8 engine. What's clever about it is that you can drive the car on a day-to-day basis and be quite comfortable just driving around. Okay, so I've flicked the car into dynamic mode and I'm ready. I'm not using the launch control system, I'm just going to accelerate out of here. So you might lose the picture of me as the camera shifts. Short shifting is a real joy in this car, and it really does make a very rapid bit of progress. As I say, you can be lazy, you can sit around with it, or you can just have a really good blast every now and again. I'm in economy mode and I'm getting as much as, or as little as 9 litres per 100 kilometres on the fuel. It's perfectly good to drive around. The car's got a lovely balance to it. There's a firmness that you'd expect with SVR vehicles. They're all a bit special in their own way. And whilst you'll feel a few bumps in this, there's nevertheless this feeling that the car is completely planted on the ground, and that no matter how bumpy, as you just saw, no matter how bumpy it gets, the car never feels out of sorts. Cornering is superb. Even in the comfort mode, there's a lot of grip and it really holds the corners quite nicely. The overall impression of the car is just something that you could really quite happily get used to. The seats are comfortable and they're grippy, they hold well. I'm not sure I would like to do 500 or 1,000 kilometres in them, and I think if I was opting to spec a car like this for myself, I would probably go for a slightly less sporting seat. But they're elegant, they're very, very comfortable short term, and they're very, very handsome. The SVR is a really nice car to be driving. I know that sounds a bit bland, nice, but there aren't enough superlatives really to cover the kind of quality and the feel of the car, and it would just be gilding the lily to even try. Do I like it? Yes. Would I live with it? Probably not, on the basis that the engine is just too big for most people's needs. I think in Europe, possibly even in Saudi Arabia, where you've got bigger distances to cover, there's probably an element of worth in it. But for the short distances that we have in this part of the world, and the fact that you're never going to explore the outer limits of its capacity,
It's a great car. It's got great heritage, and it's a pity, in fact, that some of that heritage is about to disappear, at least on the Land Rover corporate identity. I think that what makes Jaguars Jaguars is that there's a story behind it. And if you've got a story to tell, and it's a good story, then you can kind of stick with it. Thank you for watching.